Do you want to write, but you just can't? For some reason, there's always seems to be something that stops you, that blocks you, that is giving you a reason to wait and to not begin. Do you feel like you need to know more or learn more or be a better writer, that you need to do more research or read, and you never just get around to writing? You never get seated at the page and begin? Do you feel like you need to be better, to understand more, to get everything right in your head before you can begin? Well, I want you to know that underneath all of these reasons and your procrastination, there is this fear, perhaps, of just starting. You keep telling yourself you're not ready yet, but you'll be ready soon. You'll be ready after you finish this responsibility or this job or when the kids go back to school. This is perfectionism. It's perfection that is masking the fear. And we all have fears. We all have fears of writing, of creating what we want to create. We fear that we'll fail. We fear that maybe we'll be exposed as fake or not good, that we'll be criticized if we actually did what we wanted to do, say, put our work out there, put our writing out there, that we'd be criticized. Maybe we fear that we would sound stupid. In this video, I want to talk about perfectionism and how it actually oppresses us creatively. So thanks for watching. This is Devotion to Writing. It's a channel devoted to helping you cultivate a daily writing practice so that you can realize that you are creative abundance, that you are abundantly creative, that you are unstoppable. But you get in your own way. Many of us get in our own way. We get in the way of with our doubts, with our fears, by procrastinating, by perfectionism. Anne Lamott, the writer Anne Lamott, in her book Bird by Bird, she talks about perfectionism. She describes perfectionism as an oppressor. And why an oppressor? It's because even though perfectionism can feel like it is helping us, right? We say that we have high standards. I'm not going to put anything out there until it's excellent. We may tell ourselves that we just care about doing a thing well. And we can care about doing, especially our writing, our creations. Of course we want to do things well. But perfectionism never allows us to actually put the work forward. It often doesn't even allow us to begin to work, to get to work. It says that we're not allowed to begin until we can do it perfectly, until we know what we are doing, and we certainly aren't going to share it unless or until we feel that it's perfect, that it's excellent. Really, this is just a block. It's a fear of our vulnerability, a fear perhaps of putting forth our authenticity and having it rejected. So if we listen to this voice to be perfect, that we have to know what we're doing before we start, that we need to know what we're going to write, that we have to have it all figured out, that we have to be better, that we have to have more time even, then we may never begin to write at all. And look, I know this intimately, and that's why I want to talk about it in this video. My own perfectionism has hindered my creativity throughout my life. It is something I struggle with, and I'll just be very candid and say that before I started this YouTube channel, I thought about it for months, maybe 4, 5, 6 months, but I didn't begin because I was so caught up in thinking about researching how do you make a YouTube video? What makes a good YouTube video? What's the lighting have to be like? How do you script it? What do you use for a camera? Could I do it on my phone? All of this thinking just kept me really putting off starting and making the first video. And when I finally did make the first video, boy, was I super critical about myself. I didn't even post this first video. I did a practice. And I watched this, and I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I talked. Uh, I didn't like the lighting. I didn't like the background, on and on. And so that too then kept me from publishing the first video for another couple of months. I just desired to make these videos, like I have desired to write all of my life, like I have desired to teach all of my life. That perfectionism, that telling ourselves that until we're perfect we shouldn't begin, just paralyzes us. We really need to get comfortable, I think, with the truth that we learn as we do it. We don't have to be perfect before we start. That the desire in us to do something, to create a thing, is enough. We have to follow this and be true to this. And so I think what really got me finally moving forward was the pure and the simple and the authentic understanding that I desired to do it, and let that be enough. Let that desire in you to write be enough to get you started, not I have to be perfect before I've started. Now, I've made now hundreds of videos. They aren't perfect, none of them. They aren't even excellent. There are still flaws. I see them all the time, but I haven't let this stop me because I understand that just doing it is its own reward. That just doing it allows something to exist, to have a life. And furthermore, the process of making the videos, like the process of writing, like the process of teaching, has taught me so much about myself. It has taught me about writing, it has taught me about creativity, about the creative process. And additionally, it has connected me to this beautiful YouTube community of writers. So there you are. And thank you. I thank you for watching. You complete the gift. You complete the gift. And it's a gift that I almost didn't dare give. And the gift of our creativity is one that many of us don't dare ever share because we have our own perfectionism, which is just really fear. As I mentioned, the fear of not looking good enough, the fear of sounding stupid, the fear of failing. But just begin. Just begin. This is the antidote to perfectionism. I know it's a tough hurdle to get over, but I promise if you begin, you will be met and your creativity will be supported. That is, if you begin, your writing will be supported and you will discover so much that honors and supports you. You don't have to know, you don't have to have the whole thing figured out before you take your first step. The first attempt, the first draft, even the second or the 15th or the 25th, allow all of these to be awkward. Allow each of these to be another step of discovery. The first mark you make on the page, the first sentence, is just a draft of something for you to play with, to be curious about, to delve into, to explore. It's fertile ground. It is a foundation upon which your creativity can flourish. Keep writing, keep adding to this ground from which you grow your creativity and out of which wonderful stories and poems and experiences are going to come, and they will transform your life. So stumble, stutter, fall, grapple with how, right? The how is what we struggle with, but we know the why. And the why is that you desire it. The why is that some voice in you is saying, right, right. And it is nagging. And yet then that other voice, that perfectionist voice comes in and says, oh, I'll write when I know a little bit more. I'll write when we have a list of the reasons why we can't. We want to know the how, but the why is all that is important. And the why is that you desire it, that you want to, that there's a voice in you that needs this. Look, perfectionism doesn't believe in growth. It's the antithesis of creation. It's stuck. It's stagnant. But creativity is continuously evolving, growing, becoming, because it is alive. It is life itself. It is what you are. It is what we are. We are creative beings. We are creators. And there is something so deeply freeing about this realization that you are, fact, creative expression, that life is moving through you to express itself. It doesn't require you to be perfect. It doesn't care. It requires simply that you honor and offer what you have at any given time, at any moment. It wants you to honor the spark, honor the seed, honor the desire, honor the inspiration. It wants you to welcome not knowing and just begin. It is pleased really by our kind of groping for understanding, because what is realized through our creative process is authentic expression. And when we discover through our making, through our doing, then our faith in ourselves and in the creative process grows and is confirmed and is reaffirmed each time we sit and write. So our creativity is our imperfect prayer, you might say, and it's our work. And we go to work each day and we make something imperfect. Our willingness to show up, to be present, to be authentic, and to make is what is important. And it is what will create this life, this writing life, this creative life that you want. Our unfinished work is our journey. It's a journey that furthers us, that grows us. I have said this in other videos, that we don't just make the work makes us. We don't just write, the writing writes us. Our little beginning is, all of our little beginnings are the continuous unfolding of our destiny, of our creative destiny, of our creating our lives. We can spend so much time looking at what we don't have, that we need to learn, that we might not be very good at, that we think needs to be better, etc., when really that's just perfectionism, and it's keeping us from offering our authentic self and our raw discoveries and our humanity, right? We tell ourselves, hey, I'll share this, or I'll write when it's better, or I'll start when I'm more qualified, or I'll give this, I'll show people this when it's polished. But if you're sick of waiting, if you're sick of that voice that is saying right and not listening to that voice, I just encourage you to begin. Look, like I said, that's what happened to me with making these videos. It's happened to me over the course of my life when it comes to writing, when I was finally sick of not doing it, when I was sick of waiting, when I was tired of, and realized that I was never going to be ready, whatever that meant. I finally wrote, and I finally made videos, and I started to teach, etc. There have been many of these over the course of my creative life where perfectionism has stopped me. And when I started to do what it is that I desired, I started to grow. When I just gave up the idea that it had to look like this, look like that, be perfect, be good enough, is when I started to move forward. And this has been true of writing, it's been true of making these videos. Unfold. Let ideas come. It doesn't have to be perfect at first. It doesn't have to be perfect ever. We just have to start. We just have to begin. Our creativity doesn't have to be fraught with this tension and this self-criticism and this doubt and this fear. We can give ourselves permission to simply begin, to be at the beginning, to be learning, to be curious each time. We can write anything. It's a draft. And these drafts, these getting just a sentence on the page, giving even a word on the page, just opens up new space and new avenues for us to explore. And from there, we can revise, we can alter, we can write into new space. We can choose new words, new images. Let these suggest other directions for us, new emotions, new ideas. And at that point, we're playing, we're exploring, we're investigating, and we're not then caught up in the, what is this? Is it good enough? And getting stuck there. We can discover through writing or through creating whatever it is we want to create. That is, we can discover through the journey itself what we're actually trying to write or to do or to make. So you don't need to know the entire path. The novelist E.L. Doctorow said that writing, we could add creating, anything to this quote, but writing is like driving a car at night. You never see further than your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. But perfectionism says we have to know what the entire journey looks like, and we have to know every turn before we begin. But in fact, we just need to take the first faithful step. Start the car and head out. See where the road leads. Write the sentence, write the page, make the video, right? Do what it is that you desire to create. I know that fear comes up. That's inevitable. I think that's part of the creative process. I mean, I've talked to plenty of artists, writers, extremely successful. Perhaps, it looks like they've accomplished everything that you would desire in their field, in their creative field. And still, the fear comes up and the doubt comes up. We have to learn to just work with these. But the perfectionism is just a mask for that fear and that doubt, perhaps. And we see it as, like I said at the beginning of this video, when I'm better, I'll start. I really care about this, so therefore I don't want to, offer it. I don't want to put it out yet. And this is just perhaps masking our fear of criticism or of failing or of being judged. So offer what you have. And this is more than enough. It is always more than enough. Offer you, authentically you. Devote yourself simply to expressing what is desiring to be expressed within you. Call it God, the muse, the creative power, your higher self, whatever you want. It will meet you there. It will meet you at the page. It will meet you at the instant of creativity. So here's a question or a writing prompt that I would like you to work with today. And that is, what would you begin if you knew you could not fail? What would you begin if you knew you could not fail? What would you write if you knew you could not fail? So begin. Write for 5 minutes today, or 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, whatever time you have, whatever you can devote to this, and just bring what you can bring. Write an imperfect story. Write a terrible poem. It doesn't matter. What you offer is just this nascent prayer, just this beginning of utterance. It is your bold and authentic desire to say something, to communicate something, to commit something to the page, to make a little beautiful mark. It is your willingness. It is your willingness that creates. It is your willingness. And again, that fear can so dissolve our will. The doubt can dissolve our will, and the perfectionism certainly dissolves the will. We have to be willing to become, to be authentic, to dare. How will you ever know what you have to write until you write it? How will you know what you have to say until you say it? And my goodness, I promise, I know from my own experience, and I never would have imagined it before I was devoted to my own creative practice, but there is such a treasure that awaits you. You simply need to write yourself to it. You simply need to write yourself to this treasure and trust that you don't have to be perfect to attain it. You simply have to begin and begin and begin to surrender. Let it be imperfect. There is no such thing as perfection. So just start today. Start for 5 minutes today, 10, 15 minutes. Begin taking that journey to the treasure that is within you. I hope you write deeply today. I know that if you do write, it'll be beautiful, because beautiful is what you are. Blessings.